Hello and welcome along once again to the latest YouTube production here at andyholdingsspeedfigures.co.uk. Andy here with a look back at last week's race in June the 14th to June the 19th, respectively, mostly taking in the action at Royal Ascot, which obviously came thick and fast under a degree of different surfaces. We'll kick off, however, at the beginning of the week on the Monday with a fine performance by Side Bintor's Passion and Glory, who won quite tidily on the all-weather. Had to come off there off the back of a slightly disappointing run the time before, but was a revelation back on the synthetic surface. They went a really good gallop in that 8-runner race, and it really suited this fellow, who quickened quite smartly off the home turn to win in a pretty decisive style. His time figure was exceptionally good as well, 101 on our time figures. We ordered that horse, so that is very much suggesting he's a pattern race performer further down the line. Where he'll go next, only time will tell, whether he sticks to the all-weather or maybe goes back on the turf. Did notice that he's entered up this week at Newmark, I think it is, on Friday. And he's also got an entry as well in the John Smith's Cup next month. So maybe they're flying the flag a little bit high with him. Deservedly so as well. I think he's a horse to keep on the right side. That's Passion and Glory. Then on to Royal Ascot on the first day. Oxted and Poetic Flow with the two main speed figure horses there. Oxted knocked out 100 in the King Stand Stakes, which is not a great surprise really, considering the pace they went. Ornate was one of the chief participants, along with Maven as well. They really did force along a strong gallop, and Batash looked as though he was going to be very dangerous at the furlong pole, but his run capitulated because he chased a very fast pace, and Oxted, who was well off the speed early on, came through with a whirlwind finish to win in the end quite comfortably, putting his 6 furlong stamina to good use. Indeed, that's probably the path that Roger Taylor Connections will go down next. You'd imagine they'll go back to Newmarket to try and retain his July Cup crown. Of course, he won there last July. Fast ground very much suits him, and as we know now, he's fairly adaptable between 5 and 6. As I mentioned, Poetic Flow is another massive speed figure. 103 we awarded that horse. That's probably the highest number we've given any particular horse for quite some time now, and deservedly so as well. Going into the race, one would have thought that he might have just felt one or two punishing runs in recent previous weeks. Obviously taken on board the English and Irish and French 2,000 guineas, but not a bit of it. In fact, he thrived on. He's been thriving on his action, and quicking away from what was a stellar field puts him right up there with the very best milers we've seen for quite some time. The talks afterwards were that he'll probably go to the Sussex Stakes, which seems the ideal fit, really. And amazingly, he's now going to be probably given a break. I don't think even Jim Bolger can find a race in between time, so he's going to have to sit in his box for a month, which is something of a luxury. He's not used to doing that, but hopefully he'll come back kicking and bucking, and he's going to be a big player in the Sussex Stakes at Goodwood, as I mentioned. On to the Wednesday, and Real World posted the fastest time of the day in the Royal Hunt Cup. Again, another race that was run at a steering pace. And he came through on the far side, which defied conventional wisdom, because most of the action on day 1 and day 2 took place at the Stanto Rail. So arguably, you'd have to upgrade that performance from Sidebrin to Raw's Charge. And he clearly is a handicapper going places on the evidence of that. He might actually now run in Pattern Company because he's likely to be reassessed in the high 100s. Looking further down the line, there's plenty of horses as well at Court d'Eye. Grove Ferry came from a long way back. Hortzadar as well, he was another one to not get the clearest of runs. You'd have to go back and watch the video on that. I think I've got about 5 or 6 horses that I've marked up. I think this year's Hunt Cup was a very good race, looking at it on paper going into it. And I think we'll find that form will work out as well as it suggests it might, certainly based on the time figure. On to I think it was the Friday, and Wonderful Tonight. Actually, no, I think it was the Saturday. Wonderful Tonight was a hugely impressive winner of the Hardwick Stakes. Having her first run of the season, she was very, very keen early on. You couldn't imagine her quickening up and coming home the way she did, given how much energy she expended, but she did a good sectional from 3 out as well, on top of a very fast time figure. Again, another one we awarded quite highly. 97 we gave her. And it proves that now she is a genuine Group 1 performer, obviously when the ground is in her favour. She'll now go to the Arc and work backwards, maybe with 1 or maybe 2 preps in between, but she's got to have a ground. So David Marnusio will have plenty of time to map out a nice campaign for her. I think probably the natural stepping stone would be to go to the continent and maybe look towards some of those trials, the Arc trials, a few weeks before Longchamp in October. But she is a very, very good mare, as we saw on Saturday. Another stellar performance from Dream of Dreams. Vigilant on the clock as well in winning the Diamond Jubilee. 99 we got on our time figures. Again, another race run at a very strong pace, which suited to Michael Stout's charge. Art Power went off really quickly down the centre. He couldn't maintain the gallop, albeit he ran well for about 5.5. But the stamina of Dreaming Dreams, of course, used to be a good horse over 7 furlongs, kicked in. And once again, he came to the fore with plenty of giving the ground over a stiff track. The programme book really sorts itself out for a horse like that. He'll probably go July Cup, and then they go on to Haydock towards the back end of the season for their big sprint race, of course, which was successful last year. So, again, another one we'll be seeing plenty of in future races. And the final one is probably the success story of the season as well. I have to tip my hat to Rohan and connections of that horse. Used to be trained by George Scott, now in the care of David Evans, but he's just turned that horse inside out. He's now a fully fledged high-class sprinter. He won a Group 2 previously to that at Haydock. And several kind of like mocked that form a little bit, but it's worked out really well at Royal Ascot, as we saw. The runner-up went on to win the day before. And he came from a long, long way back as well to win at Royal Ascot. I think he was last of his group with 3 furlongs to run, but he came home just as quickly as Dream of Dreams did. In fact, there was only 0.3 of a second difference between their split times from 2 to the line, suggesting this horse is ready for the big time. He's got to be supplemented for the July Cup. I'd also imagine they'll have connections have one look at going back to Ascot towards the back of the season for Kidco Champions Day. And if he gets his favourite soft ground, he's going to be a big player, because he's proven that a strongly run race with a little bit of ease in the ground over a stiff 6 furlongs such as Ascot really does play into his strength. So credit where credit's due for David Evans and connections of Rohan. At 98, we awarded that particular horse. So there you go, 7 horses that performed to a very high level last week. Passion and Glory, 101, Oxted 100, Poetic Flow 103, Real Word 100, Wonderful Tonight 97, Dream of Dreams 99, and Rohan 98. Thanks very much for tuning in then to this edition of the Andy Holding Speed Figures Weekly Blog, and we'll have another blog for you next week, again highlighting the very best times from the 7 days the following week. So until then, it's bye for me for now.